Hi, I'm Jennifer Hudacek.
And I'm Caitlin Eves.
We're two of the industrial hygienists that work for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And today we're going to show you how to do a respirator fit test using irritant smoke. So the first thing I want to tell you is when you get this kit, you're going to have some directions enclosed with the kit. So this was one that I just bought off the internet, and this one is from Allegro, and they do a pretty good job of giving you a lot of detail about what you need to do before and during the test, how the whole process of the test is done. So I really recommend, when you get this test, just to read through everything that it says in here to make sure that you're going through all the processes, because it's not as simple as just doing this, blowing some smoke around a person with the respirator on to see if they smell. Of course, that's an important part of it. However, you also want to know how to make sure you're putting the respirator on correctly. And there's a little bit of detail in that. And this also is all required by OSHA. OSHA requires that we not only do a fit test, but that you do a positive and negative pressure check, which we're going to show you, and that you check all the straps, you look in the mirror, you do all these things to make sure that you have a good fit. So we're going to start off with what you get in the kit. So besides that nice little handout, it's going to have a bulb and a tube that you should attach to it that's going to aspirate, a container with the actual smoke tubes in it, and finally you're going to see it came in a little tiny plastic bag, an opener for these vials that are in the smoke tube vials to be able to properly open them, and then a little extra tube to put on the end of the vial so that you don't cut yourself, because it is glass and you're breaking that glass open. So the first process, put everything down, take our little tube out. And you want to be careful these don't slide out accidentally and break, because they will shatter pretty easily. I've done that, and then I end up, I only have 2 more tubes left, but I just broke 2 of them.
Do we want to do it a little close so they can get a close-up shot of it?
Yeah, that's a good idea. So you're going to see that this has a hole in it here, and we're going to use that hole you stick the end through, and just sort of spin on there, so it, look at that, just by spinning it, it actually broke off the end of that tube. So I want to put that end, carefully insert it in there so you got a good secure fit. You don't want it to fall out. Like I said, it will shatter. And you also want to be careful not to get any of this on your skin. If this thing breaks, you don't want to touch the debris that's left behind. Just get a broom and a dustpan and get rid of it that way, because it'll sort of burns your skin.
Yeah.
So it's some nasty stuff. So I want to make sure I have the next tube to go on the other end. And then again, I am just going to spin this around it to score it. And then the slightest angle, and you can already see there's some smoke coming out of the tip of that. Now this is irritant smoke, so you want to try not to inhale it. And in fact, the person who's doing the fit testing may want to wear a respirator of their own for comfort. So now you can see I have this whole thing set up, tube on one end. So, and you squeeze this, it's going to cause the smoke to come out the tip, but we don't want to do that yet, because we're going to go over a few other things. One, I want to make sure you all get a copy of this form. This form is available on our SharePoint site under respiratory protection. So this is the form that we use here at Fish and Wildlife to document the test. And so you want to make sure you have all of that filled out. So the person getting the fit test, in this case, is going to be our subject here, Caitlin. And she's going to be doing a fit test with a full face respirator. So we're going to show you that process first.
One of the important things with this is, so I wear glasses. If glasses are essential, there are certain setups that you can get.
You can get an eyeglass kit.
Yes, to wear that'll go underneath the respirator. But for me, I don't really need these to see everything. So I'm going to take these off, and you should too when you get the fit test, because those glasses will prevent a good seal. And you want to make sure too that for your filters, you can see mine are kept in a sealable bag, because these filters are organic vapor, or even just our particulate filters. they will constantly be absorbing whatever's in the surrounding area. So sealing them up is really important. But for this case, so I have pretty short hair. I'm probably not going to put it back. You're going to go ahead and loosen it all up entirely. You can see mine's set fully loose. And you're going to take the back and put her on. And then slowly, it's a little hard to hear me now, slowly but surely.
Yeah, so you just want to tighten the top first, tighten the sides, and don't over tighten. This is something a lot of people feel like you want to get it really tight. Well, first of all, that is going to actually cause openings in other spots because it's being over tightened. So you're going to get like creases where it's going to bubble out, so it's not going to fit as well. Our faces have softness to them, so we just need to have it snug. If you have somebody with facial hair, you cannot do a fit test with facial hair. You cannot wear this type of a respirator or an N95 if it's a required use, voluntary use. Doesn't have to be a good fit. You don't have to do a fit test. Or with a half-face respirator. This is elastomeric half-face respirator. None of these tight-fitting respirators are designed to be worn with somebody with facial hair. So once she's got a good fit on and she feels like she's got it secure, it's not hurting her face because it's so tight, but it feels like it's secure all the way around, she's going to do a positive and negative pressure check. And this is very important and something you should do every single time you put your respirator on, because you're adjusting it every single time. People lose and gain weight. You might have a tooth that came out, something that changes the actual shape of your face when it comes to wearing a respirator. So we want to make sure that we always have a good fit. Every single time you put it on, positive and negative pressure check. So first we're going to do the negative pressure check, which is when you cover the air inlet. So she's got her hands over the two holes for the air inlet and you suck in. The entire respirator will suck into your face. If you feel a leak around the edge, that means you don't have a good fit. You might just want to loosen it up, move it around your face a little bit, retighten it, and try it again. Finally, you're going to do the positive pressure check. And you're going to look where the exhalation valve, hers is at the bottom here. And you're going to cover that and you're going to blow and the whole thing will puff up. And you can hear if there's a leak. So she feels like she has a little leak. So maybe her hair might be in the way on the side or she might not have it adjusted quite right. So she's going to adjust it and she's going to try it again. So if you blow hard enough, of course the air is going to find a way out. Take that into consideration. That's not necessarily a leak. But if you're blowing and you're not blowing super hard and you can feel it's easily coming out of one particular spot, that's going to be a weak point. So we want to make sure, because when you start talking and doing whatever your work is, it's going to be a lot more likely that you're going to have those kind of openings. And that's why we're going to go through the entire fit test procedure the way we do. So now she's got the respirator on. She knows this thing seems to fit her well. The next part, and you can do this either before or after you do the positive pressure check, is putting on the cartridges. The cartridges are easier to do. I mean, the positive and negative pressure checks are easier to do when you don't have the filters on because it's easier to hold over that little hole. But then you're at the challenge of trying to put this on. She could take her respirator off, put them on, and put the respirator back on again. But I'm going to help her just get these on so that we can move forward with our test. So these all have this particular type, and you can see there's 3 like locking points here. Those are going to be how it's going to attach. It's going to snap into place. Different respirators work different ways. They don't all have the same kind of snapping mechanism. And you can feel when it's snapped in. Oh, you have the other one. This one, I have to go this way.
Well, it's good to have a mirror.
Yeah, a mirror would help too, definitely. And it's always good too to take a look, especially when you're first using a respirator and you're not really familiar with the feel of it. Look in the mirror, make sure it looks centered, make sure you have, all of your adjustments should be even on both sides. Because otherwise the whole thing is going to be sort of cockeyed, and as you work, it's going to loosen and it's going to turn some. So now she's got her respirators on. Whatever type of filter you use, in order to do a smoke test, you have to have a particulate filter on this. And you can see this, they call this magenta. This is the magenta filter, and that is always a HEPA filter, so the particulate filter. The gray represents organic vapor, and she also has acid gas. So this is a combination cartridge. It works for formaldehyde, organic vapors, acid gas, and all the particulates, dust, and fibers that we might inhale. So because we don't know what kind of environments as industrial hygienists we might have to go into, we have an all-in-one so that we are protected. This is the same kind of thing that our wildlife inspectors have if you are a wildlife inspector. So then what we're going to be doing as we go through the fit test is all listed right here, every single part of the test, starting with just stationary, standing there, breathing normally. And every aspect of it is timed, 60 seconds per section. So you want to make sure you have a timer going so that you tap that button, you know when you stop and you can move on to the next exercise. Otherwise, you could end up being there for a long time or you could go really too short. So we're getting our timer set up. Okay, you want to hand that to me? I can take care of it for you. Actually, you can probably do it too. But yep, you got it on timer. All right, so regular breathing. And as I do this, I am going to just, you can see the smoke here. And this is a perfect day for it. You want to do this outside because this can set off a smoke alarm and you don't want that to happen. That's why we are outside here. But you just want to keep it going around the perimeter where you might have a leak, especially underneath here, because that is definitely the easiest spot. And just keep going around, just lightly smoking like I am for that 60 seconds. We're going to continue this through all the different tests. I'm not going to make you stand here and wait for the whole time. The whole thing takes about 10 minutes because there's about, I don't know, 8 or 9 exercises. And as you go through them all, at any point, if there is, if they sense the smoke, they will feel a tickle in their throat, and we will check when we're done. But she will feel a tickle in her throat and she will know she's getting some breakthrough here. Try to call you. So we're going to go through this and then we're going to move on to the next part. Oh, he's telling me I'm at the 1 minute. And the next part is heavy breathing. So head stationary deep is what it says, which means you're taking deep breaths so that if there's any chance that this is going to get around, now we're going to know it. So as we go through these tests, they're going to increase in likelihood of breakthrough. So we started with the simplest, now we're going to get into a little heavier with the heavy breathing. Then head turning side to side, which is just looking over your left shoulder and then your right shoulder. You go through that for 60 seconds. Then you do the head up and down, which is like this, and you just keep repeating that slowly. You don't have to be jerky about it, but you want to continue that up and down for 60 seconds. And then we're going to be reading the rainbow passage, which will be included in your paperwork. If you get it from us, if you look at the instructions on our SharePoint site, it will have the instructions from OSHA and includes a copy of the rainbow passage. So we got our next 60 seconds. So now it's head side to side. So we go through all these different tests, and then you're going to be doing the bending over at the waist, and the whole time you just keep doing these smoke around the breathing zone. You can see it sort of raises right up over her head if I keep it down low, because it's not real windy out here today. I'm getting a little bit of it myself. I can feel the tickle in my throat because I am not wearing a respirator, even though it's not that close to me. A little bit of it's getting to me. This stuff is pretty strong. It's one of the reasons, you know, we use this in a lot of places. Here it's because it's cheap, but also because if you have somebody who doesn't care about this, doesn't respect their respirator, doesn't care about their inhalations, think the whole thing is silly, they might lie. You can't lie with this because it'll make you cough. I've never heard of anybody not being sensitive to the irritant smoke. So she's getting a good fit. Up and down, head up and down. So we're gonna shorten it a little bit, so we just do 30 seconds. I don't wanna make this so terribly long and then I feel like I have to talk while you do this. So let's go on the pause it, and then we'll go on to the rainbow passage. This rainbow passage is an interesting one. So she's going to start reading it.
When the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act like a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is the division of white light into many beautiful colors. These take the shape of a long, round arch with its path high above and its two ends apparently beyond the horizon. There is, according to legend, a boiling pot of gold at one end. People look, but no one ever finds it. When a man looks for something beyond reach, his friends say he is looking for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
So now if we were doing this as a time test, you would just reread that. You can also have somebody just say the alphabet. The great thing about the rainbow passage, it makes all the different movements with your mouth that you might have when you're talking normally. So that's why they use that. So now normal breathing again. Normal breathing and the up and down. So let's do the up and down first.
Oh.
Bending over at the waist. This is a little more challenging to get the smoke in. I'm just trying to sort of get it in there. I am definitely getting some of it now. So that,
my respirator is working.
yes. And now just regular breathing for 60 seconds. And then we're gonna say we did 60 seconds, just to fast forward this whole process. She takes her respirator off. Now these are nice because you just sort of push the button up and it slides off, but it's best to loosen it all and keep it that way until you're ready to use it again. It's just the easiest way to get it off and on.
Whew, a little sweaty in there.
Yeah, it gets warm, gets warm for sure. So then I would just give her a small exposure to this. You could just sort of walk into it. Do you get it?
Do it again.
Oh man, you are a brave soul, especially knowing that you will be sensitive to it.
Yeah, I get it a little bit.
So whether we're doing the test using that full face respirator, we're doing that test with the full face respirator or the half face, it's the same process. Again, I would just put this on my face, make sure it's centered on the back, hold it with one hand. Oh, I think this thing clicked on. There we go. And then do the pressure check.
Mm-hmm. So we're doing the negative.
That sucks on my face pretty good.
Good. Yeah, the negative and then the positive. Her positive looks a little different than this one, of course. Hers is just around the very front
Yeah,
as
actually,
a circle.
it actually worked pretty well. Last time I tried this one, I didn't think I had a good fit on it, but that time it actually worked pretty well. I bought this with my own money to use at home, because if you're doing work, anything that creates like a silica dust or just dusty work in general, you don't want to breathe that stuff in. Silica, respirable silica is a carcinogen, so definitely it's something we want to take seriously. So make sure when you're done, you check the person for that, and then fill out every part of this form here. You'll see there's some stuff about a port account. That doesn't apply because we're not using that. Really important to make sure you write down the type of respirator. So if we were using the half face, I wouldn't get fit tested on that, and on the full face, we would have two forms, one for each respirator. Mm-hmm. Also, if you're using one of these N95s, this is one that we got here at the service. I know the wildlife inspectors were using this particular brand. It's a pretty nice one. I actually sort of like this one, and we've done some fit tests on our inspectors with this, and they passed. Every single person I tested actually passed it, so it's obviously a decent respirator. But when you put these on, you also want to make sure, I just want to make sure everybody understands, with all of these respirators, you sort of open it up. One goes around the neck and the other goes around the back of your head. So you want to make sure that you have those spread out, these back, to make sure. And then this has this molded piece, and the top is metal, and you have to bend it to your face. The challenge of these is every time you put it on, you're bending it a little bit different. So, you know, I'm a little bit, you know, if you have something very serious of a hazard, this wouldn't be my first choice for something like asbestos. But for things like zoonotic disease, I think this is really great because you can just throw it away when you're done. And you can do a fit test and feel like you're confident with that. Just make sure that you're paying attention to the way you put it on when you pass that fit test, so that you can repeat that exact same procedure.
Yeah. With the respirators as well, just so you have the information for it, you're gonna find that up on the top, for full face at least, you're gonna find it at the top up here. So like mine is a medium-sized respirator, and it's the 3M6800. So this is good information to put on there as well, on that form.
Exact same one, in fact, our wildlife inspectors use. And then this one here, you can see right on it, it tells you what the respirator is, the particular name. This one is one size fits all, but if it is a size respirator like these full face or a regular half face, you want to make sure you write the size down too. And that's because they're all going to fit different, and that you need to have the exact details of that respirator. If you buy a different brand or a different model of the same brand, it will not fit the same at all. And that's because we all have different faces. So this might not work for them. They need to be able to get on that different model that's made a little bit different, so that they can find one that will fit for them. So if you have any questions or any problems about with the fit testing, you can go to our contacts page on our SharePoint site and reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help you with any questions. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.